Every soldier knows that there are no unimportant details on the battlefield. Every detail is important and can lead to success, and there are a lot of such details. One of them is the weapon selected for close combat. In today's video, we'll be talking about a small but very effective weapon. Meet the NLAW, Next Generation Light Anti-Tank Weapon. This is the brainchild of Swedish company Saab Bofors Dynamics Limited. It was Saab that won the competition umbrellaed under the British Department of Defence's main battle tank and light anti-tank weapon program in 2002. By 2009, the complex had been adopted by the British Army and its mass production subsequently kicked off. 14 British enterprises are involved in the production of the NLAW, and the final assembly is carried out by Thales Air Defence Limited, Northern Ireland. So what is this weapon exactly? It's a man-portable short-range anti-tank guided missile with a range of up to 2,625 feet, a length of 3.28 feet, and a weight of only 26.45 pounds. In addition to the tanks, this baby can also successfully engage armored troop transport vehicles, infantry, airborne combat vehicles, troop shelters, and other targets. Why not, after all? Ukrainian soldiers were able to shoot down the Russian helicopter Ka-52 Alligator from the Ukrainian anti-tank complex Stugna-P. It must have been very rewarding to destroy such a beast worth $15 million with a $20,000 rocket. Granted, the fighters of the legendary Azov Regiment have also distinguished themselves by knocking out a high-speed patrol boat from the Russian Armed Forces 03160 Raptor project in Mariupol, using a weapon not intended for this at all, but still with incredible skill. The NLAW missile has a diameter of 150 millimeters, and the overall projectile has a caliber of 102 millimeters. The funnel is specially designed at a 90-degree angle from the axis of the rocket so that it comes down from above at, for example, the surface of a tank turret. At the same time, the burning cumulative jet has a guaranteed armor penetration of up to 500 millimeters of uniform rolled armor. Have you ever heard that at least one tank had such armor plating? Take, for example, the same Russian T-90, which Saab, without any remarks, showed as a typical target for the NLAW. Of course, the company officially expressed itself in a very diplomatic manner, saying, "This is an effective decision against the backdrop of geopolitical instability around Europe." By that time already, when creating NLAW, the capabilities and weaknesses of Russian tanks, as well as the real conditions of modern high-intensity combat, that is, full-scale hostilities, were taken into account. The shaped charge projectile is activated by a combined active optical magnetic sensor, which detects objects with significant metal mass to them. It was not for nothing that the developers abandoned the thermal homing head, which led to 3 significant advantages. The cost of the missile decreased, and the possibility of hitting false targets was also eliminated. After all, as you know, in combat there are always thermal signatures, including open flames. What's more, the passive guidance algorithm does not allow laser irradiation sensors to correct the missile. A similar system has been successfully used on the American BGM-71 TOW-2 anti-tank system. An interesting fact and subtle plus regarding this moving away from a thermal imaging head is that the on-off cycles, as well as the total operating time of the NLAW, are limited only by the battery. Compare this to the Javelin, where the head is argon-cooled on the launcher and must be replaced after each activation. Granted, in NATO countries, the NLAW has already managed to get itself the unofficial nickname of Minimalist Javelin. This once again confirms the well-known phrase stated by the protagonist of the Flash series: "Physics is important in battle, not strength and not size." The complex fires with 2 different modes of aiming: direct attack and PLOS, predicted line of sight, inertial system. The operator needs only to fix the target with the Trigicon TA-41 NLAW 2.5x20 computerized sight for 3 to 5 seconds. Even in conditions where only part of it is visible, the electronics within the launch system will independently determine the location of the target at the time of the shot and calculate the trajectory, range, and angular velocity. Ideally, preparation for a shot takes only 5 seconds. According to the instructions, you should first check for the presence of a protective membrane. It should be noted that the Ukrainians recommend the Russian military pay special attention to this. Otherwise, an empty transport and launch container might be mistaken for one with ammunition. This, by the way, the Russians did on their part, reporting to their leadership that a whole warehouse of expensive missiles had been taken as trophies. And so, we check the controls, the spot where the battery is attached, the aiming elements, and the hull for obvious damage. We connect the battery, select the engagement mode, and the type of flight range. There are only two of them, close and very close. One is up to 65.6 feet and the other is over 328. Next, we set a sharp angle sight in our combat position, or, depending on the situation, a stationary sight, where there is a brightness control to save time. Then we choose a manual or telescopic belt support, fix ourselves onto the target, and then, what follows is a powerful downward blow above the target at a height of 3 to 6.5 feet. In the direct shot mode, you can strike without increasing the trajectory above the target. The developers have, of course, set the NLAW operators up. Things work in two stages. Initially, the knockout charge ejects the rocket from the launch tube, and then, after the rocket has gone a couple feet, the solid propellant rocket engine starts. This factor makes the rocket ideal for indoor launches. The NLAW can also be used from a basement, mid-floor, or rooftop as it can strike at angles plus or minus 45 degrees. Additionally, the jet stream is released using a special container with liquid, which is a big plus for hiding the shooter. The closest engagement distance is 65.6 feet, which is a big plus in close combat situations, especially compared to the RPG-7, for example, where the minimum distance is approximately 140 feet. By the way, the missile warhead has a self-destruct mechanism set for 5 to 6 seconds, so the principle of operation is pretty clear: fire and forget. The operator has no need to track and correct the projectile's flight. As for the cost, the NLAW sits at about 28,000 pounds. This baby flies effectively, both in frost and in very hot weather too, from -100 to 145 degrees Fahrenheit. Given all the characteristics of the NLAW, we can safely say that this weapon is one of the last lines of defense. The destruction of enemy equipment on the battlefield in the event of a tank armada passing into the depths of one's country. Furthermore, due to its modest dimensions, low weight, and overall efficiency in shot preparation, a disposable anti-tank missile can also be used in the so-called guerrilla war. After all, finding and neutralizing one fighter with an NLAW is much more difficult than doing the same against an entire anti-tank unit. As they say, even when you are defending, you must still attack. Of course, NLAW is still in service with the UK. One of the main countries that also uses it, though, is Sweden, where the complex received the designation RB-57. Additionally, Switzerland decided to swap out the M47 Dragon grenade launcher with the NLAW and placed an order, as did Finland, where the weapon was marked as the 102 RSLP STOHJ NLAW. Luxembourg, Indonesia, Malaysia, and Saudi Arabia are also not far behind. But the true baptism by fire for the portable anti-tank missile took place in Ukraine. Over here, it really proved itself in situations where the longer range guns had already fired at their effective distances. And that's precisely when the NLAW went into action, and not unsuccessfully either. The first delivery from the UK took place in January 2022, and almost immediately military instructors from the British training mission Orbital got to work training Ukrainian fighters on its usage. Classes were held at the 184th Training Center of the National Academy of Land Forces, named after Hetman Petro Sahaidatchny. In February, all border outposts in the Lugansk region were armed with these man-portable anti-tank missiles. On literally the first day of hostilities in Ukraine, the press center at the headquarters of the Joint Forces operation reported that in the area of Pichevik in the Donetsk region, a column of 16 tanks attempted to break through the defense. 3 of them were destroyed by NLAW missiles. These shots were taken on February 27th, with more to follow. This small, yet very effective missile has helped the armed forces of Ukraine greatly. According to Ukrainian fighters, this little guy will be extremely useful with territorial defense units. The enemy must know that from every bush or window of the building, they will be hunted through the sights of the NLAW, being difficult to spot, unlike the setups of other anti-tank systems. Victory belongs to those who continue to smile, so let's smile and hit that bell. Also, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. The most interesting content is still yet to come.